We're celebrating St. Patrick's Day in the desert, so happy St. Patty's Day. And Aaron go bra, and remember, watch those leprechauns near your feet.
Out today in green hats to celebrate St. Patrick's Day, so it's a grand day, Laddie Buck. Take it away.
Now, we're not going to see a whole lot of everyday regulars in the lineup today, but that's not the case on the pitching side.
Well, the everyday players you'll see today are the upcoming stars. Rick Sweet will have a lot of them down in AAA. These guys can play, though. It's going to be a nice opportunity to see the young talent the Reds have. But on the mound, Major League talent, certainly. Mike Leake will start the game today. He's a guy that really needs a good start today because his spring so far hasn't been all that good. We're going to see the Cuban Missile Aroldis Chapman, another left-hander, and Bill Bray. So the big leaguers are on the mound. The minor leaguers are in the field, but they're going to be playing with a lot of zeal and enthusiasm this afternoon.
It's the Reds and the Indians from Goodyear. That's coming up right after this.
History.
Arizona and Goodyear Ballpark, third meeting of the spring between the Reds and the Indians. Let's take a look at the starting lineup for Manny Acta's ball club. There are some regulars in it today, Michael Brantley being one. Adam Everett, there's Sin-Soo Choo. Carlos Santana will be at first base. Then there's Travis Hafner and the former Red Austin Kearns. And finally, Jack Hanahan. Luke Carlin does the catching, and Luis Valbuena is the second baseman. Mike Leake will be on the mound for the Reds. Chris making start number 3 and appearance number 4.
23-year-old right-hander. Of course, he was just a year out of Arizona State. Last year made him way right onto the opening day roster. In fact, the first half of the year for Mike Leake, he was 6-1 and easily the best pitcher in the rotation. He fell on rough times after the All-Star break. They rested him. They put him on the DL to give him some rest, and they eventually shut him down as the season wore on. But Mike Leake came into this camp realizing he needs a very good spring to make the team because the numbers are such this year with a healthy Edinson Vólquez. There's really not much room in the rotation. He's not pitched all that great so far in spring training. He needs a good one this afternoon.
Michael Brantley leads it off for this Cleveland ball club. They had the day off yesterday. The Reds had the day off 2 days ago on Tuesday, the only day off respectively for the two clubs this spring. Leake, good fielding pitcher, will field his position well there and throw Brantley out. Take a look at the Reds defensively behind Mike Leake. They have Hermida not in a normal position for him. He's out in left. Heisey's in center, Frazier in right. Then it's Negron, Cozart, Valleca, and Cairo across the infield with a battery of Corky Miller and Mike Leake. Good look at the area beyond Goodyear Ballpark. As Adam Everett, first-year Indians player, non-roster invitee to the spring training camp of the Cleveland Ball Club, plays shortstop in this game, bats second. Leake gets ahead now, 2 strikes. Boy, you're right, Chris. He really does need a good effort today as he came in battling Homer Bailey and Travis Wood for a starting spot.
Well, you know, Jim, when you consider the options into the whole issue as to who can be sent down without risking them being picked up by another team, it really eliminates a spot because you've got Homer Bailey who's out of options. So that leaves one spot in the rotation that's not sewn down, and that's right now being occupied by Travis Wood. The Reds want a left-hander in the rotation, plus Travis has thrown the ball exceptionally well this spring.
A check swing and on appeal to the first base umpire Tony Randazzo. Adam Everett has said to have gone out, so that's the second out of the inning. There's a look at the 3 guys that are vying for the 2 spot.
Well, you can add in a couple of other guys as well, Matt Maloney and Sam LeCure, but those guys probably are outside chances right now. Mike Leake, Travis Wood, and Homer Bailey. Homer Bailey, as I said, is out of options, so they cannot send him down without risk losing him on waivers to somebody else or having him lock him down into the minor leagues.
Nice play at first by Cairo and a good feed to the pitcher covering.
And a 1-2-3 first turned in by Mike Leake. Beautiful day on St. Paddy's Day. No score after 1/2. Dugout on the third base side here at Goodyear Ballpark, Goodyear, Arizona. Here's a glimpse at the starting lineup for Dusty Baker's bunch today. Chris Negron at third. There's Zach Cozart, Chris Heisey representing the top 3. Todd Frazier, Jeremy Hermida, and Miguel Cairo, the middle 3. And the bottom includes Chris Valleca, Corky Miller, and Mike Leake. You'll notice no DH in today's game on the red side. The Indians are using one. They have Travis Hafner in that spot. And here is the opening day starter for the Tribe, making his second start against the Reds this spring, Fausto Carmona.
He is a legitimate top of the rotation pitcher. There's no doubt about it. Despite the 1 under 500 record last year, this guy brings a lot to the table. Has a great sinking fastball, comes right after the hitters, has a very good changeup, lots of ground balls. And he's one reason why those that are optimistic about the Indians can be so, because this guy's a real horse.
In fact, he led the American League last year in getting 30 GIDPs, ground ball double plays. So that sinker ball was working pretty well for him last year. Chris Negron, one of the many young players that you're going to see today for the Redlegs, up and coming young player that they really like. Made it as high as AAA a year ago.
Negron has had a nice spring. He's really been flashy with the glove. He plays good defense. Most of his starts and his playing time in spring training have been at second base, where he turns a real good double play, but he's playing third base this afternoon.
He has 7 RBIs. That ties him with Chris Heisey for tops on the team this spring, despite the fact he's only had 13 at-bats. Got Zach Cozart on deck, and then Chris Heisey. Of that trio, Heisey figures to be the only one that makes the team. And Heisey's got an interesting story going on based on what Dusty Baker had said about him almost a week ago now regarding being the only other guy other than Drew Stubbs who figures to be able to play center field. I wonder if Dusty has a neck guard that's green to go along with that hat like he does the red one we've seen him with. Off speed, and Negron goes down on strikes. Behind Carmona, here's how the Indians line up. They have Austin Kearns, the former Reds #1 pick, out in left field. Michael Brantley in center. Sin-Soo Choo in right. That figures to be their opening day outfield. Jack Hanahan at third with Adam Everett, the other member of the left side. Luis Valbuena and Carlos Santana on the right side. Luke Carlin catches Fausto Carmona. They figure to play Santana at first base some this year to rest his knees. Tough play at short, and that's going to be a base hit for Zach Cozart. That looked like it tipped off the glove of the third baseman Hanahan.
Well, a lot of the infields here in Arizona are very hard. Of course, it doesn't rain very much. It's difficult for the grounds crew to keep them soft in front of home plate. So the high chopper went over the head of the third baseman Hanahan. Adam Everett gave it an effort, but Zach Cozart runs about average, and he was able to beat that out for an infield knock.
Cozart, another one who was hit very well. We talked about Negron doing well, Cozart doing well, and then there's Heisey. Another one hitting .333 this spring with 2 home runs and 7 RBIs. Called up after the season began last year. 4 pinch hit home runs. Did a great job both offensively coming off the bench and defensively as a late inning replacement out in left. And who can forget, Chris, the play he made against the Cardinals when that base hit up against the wall, into Cabrera, into Hernandez, tag, out, game over.
You know, things just seem to happen when Chris Heisey is out there. Just an amazing story last year that he had 6 pinch hit home runs as a rookie. And a lot of times you don't see rookies in that position very often.
There's going to be an around the horn 5-4-3 inning-ending double play here in the bottom of the first. When we come back, we're going to go to the third member of our crew, Jim Day, with Edinson Vólquez in the dugout. Here, the Reds and the Indians. Now we're going to head down to that third base dugout with a third member of our crew, Jim Day, with Edinson Vólquez. Hello, Jim.
Jim, thank you very much. We're with Edinson Vólquez. And how you feeling? You had the visa problem, so you got a little bit of a late start, and I know that's not always good during spring training. But how's the arm feel?
I'm good, man. I feel good right now. We got everything set already for the visa, all that. Everything's fine right now.
You pitched the other day. Wasn't in a game here, but it was at the complex. How'd you feel that day?
Good, man. I threw 5 innings, 74 pitches. Everything was good.
In the okay, we have our first one of the season. That was Francisco Cordero, and that was cold water, and I even got a bunch of it. So it looks like baseball's back, right?
Yeah, I get it back. Don't worry.
And Yonder Alonso throws in the towel. Actually felt pretty good. It's almost 90 degrees here. In the offseason, you know, baseball is a business, obviously. You decided to take a one-year deal rather than a long-term contract because you wanted to prove what you can do. On the other hand, the Reds said, hey, we're going to go out and show us what you can do. We're going to make you the opening day starter. How happy were you for that?
Oh, very happy right now because it's a good opportunity to pitch in the first game. And, you know, especially in Cincinnati, big crowd every year.
How much motivation do you have this year after what happened in the playoffs?
A lot, because now we got more experience now, and it's going to be great. You know, I can't wait to be there.
And obviously, there's good camaraderie on this team. You guys get along so well.
Yeah, we always playing around. You know, those guys, we're good friends. Me and Cordero, we know each other for a long time. And the rest of the guys, too. You know, we're having fun.
Is there any concern right now, because you got a late start, to be ready for opening day, like you want to be ready?
No, I think I'm going to be ready because I was pitching now in the minor league, like simulator game, all that, live BP, a lot of bullpen section, all that. And now I started getting pitching in the real game. And I'm going to be ready.
Would you like to be a Cincinnati Red for years to come?
My whole career. You know, that's the time I want to be. That's the team I want to be, too. You know, I want to stay there like for the rest of my career.
Appreciate your time. We're going to turn you loose before they throw a bucket of water on us.
Thank you, Ray. Thanks for having me.
All right, back upstairs, guys.
Thanks, Jim, with Edinson Vólquez, who was named rather early the opening day starter for the Reds 2011 against Milwaukee, ending the 5-year run of Aaron Harang. And you look at what Vólquez, Chris, has done thus far, 2 starts. The last one, as Jim mentioned, in the complex in the minor league game. He would figure to have 2 more starts before the 31st, 2 weeks from today, opening day.
Well, right now the pitchers are ahead of the hitters. There's no question about that, especially guys that can twirl up their breaking balls and change speeds a little bit. And Vólquez is no different. The only thing for Edinson Vólquez is whether he will throw enough strikes to really be the pitcher that he can be, because he's got such a great arm, an explosive fastball, a cartoon-type changeup that he can throw that changeup back-to-back and fool hitters as well as he can. But in that minor league game, he walked a couple, I think. He hit 3 batters. So, you know, it's all a matter of him being able to locate his pitches. And I really do believe that with the other pitchers on this staff, almost to the same level that Vólquez is. I mean, Travis Wood is right there. Cueto knocking on the door. Homer Bailey, if he throws the way he can't, is right there as well. So I think that they're all going to push each other to try to, you know, get these guys to be as excellent as possible. And I think that will help Edinson Vólquez even be better than he was last year.
The Indians, after a ground out by Santana, now get a base runner as Hafner reaches on that ball, which careened off the arm of Chris Valaika. Looked like it ate him up a little bit out at second base. So Hafner aboard. He's given credit for a base hit, the first Indians base runner.
A lot of ground balls so far. That is typical of Mike Leake. He throws a lot of ground ball double plays, had 19 of them last year. So we've got a matchup of right-handed pitchers today that get it on the ground.
Well, here's the former Reds #1 pick, Austin Kearns, who's back with the Indians this year after being traded away to the Yankees, trying to help them down the stretch 1 season ago. He figures to be their left fielder.
Well, he figures to be their everyday left fielder until Grady Sizemore comes back. Grady Sizemore is coming back now from a knee injury. He had a microfracture of that knee injury, and he's not ready yet. So until he comes back and is able to play every day, it'll probably be Austin Kearns in left field. And the way you have it today, Michael Brantley in center.
Yeah, then Brantley would move over to left. And the good news for Indians fans regarding Grady Sizemore is that the only thing really left for him to do is slide. That's, of course, how he hurt his knee. Played in, only 30-odd games a year ago. He's been running the bases lately. He's been taking fly balls in the outfield, and they're hoping that Sizemore can maybe play in his first spring game this weekend. Kearns hitting .318 during Cactus League play this year with a couple of runs batted in. No breeze to speak of at all here at Goodyear Ballpark today. Hit hard but playable and caught by Jeremy Hermida on the track out and left.
Hitting seventh for the Indians, the third baseman, number 9, Jack Hanahan.
Jack Hanahan will be the batter. There's Hermida out in left. He's played most of his time out in right. And there's the skipper of the Indians, Manny Acta, in his second year. Longtime minor league manager. Took over for Eric Wedge. Wedge is now in Seattle as the skipper out there. His team 1 year ago won only 69 games. In fact, they've had back-to-back years where they didn't hit the 70 mark in victories after that 96 win season in 07, and they made it to the ALCS. Ball and a strike to Jack Hanahan, who's a free agent signee, non-roster invitee to camp this year. Corky Miller doing the catching for the Reds today. He would figure to be, again, I guess this year, Chris, much like he was a year ago, sort of an insurance policy should something happen to Hannigan and or Hernandez.
You know, the pitchers, I think if you query pitchers who've ever thrown to Corky Miller, they put him atop the list as far as catch and throw guys. He just is so calming behind the plate. He works with the pitcher so well. He knows the hitters, and he's willing to take a minor league job. Now, that said, I think the Reds are probably paying him a premium to be down there in Louisville to take care of those young pitchers on their way up. But he serves as, just as you said, a great insurance policy in the event that either Hannigan or Ramón Hernández goes down. You've got a quality receiver that they can call up and really not skip a beat.
In years past, that's really all they had. Now with Yasmani Grandal and Devin Mesoraco waiting in the wings, you've got more depth in this catching spot than you've had in a long time.
Well, they're the two up-and-comers right there. Devin Mesoraco, drafted about 4 or 5 years ago, and he's out of high school. And he really last year grew into a man and became a very top prospect, an excellent hitter, good receiver, and a super arm.
Good running grab by Chris Heisey, moving quickly to his left to retire the Indians in the top of the second. They strand their first base runner. No snow on top of those mountains, but a desert scene for sure out of here in Goodyear. Here at Great American Ballpark, or rather at Goodyear Ballpark. Join the Reds on Sunday. It's April the 3rd when they face the Milwaukee Brewers. The first 20,000 fans in attendance will receive a 2011 Reds magnetic schedule and logo car magnet courtesy of PNC. Get tickets now by calling 513-381-REDS or go to Reds.com. We will be in Great American Ballpark not that long from now, 2 weeks from today. In fact, is when the Reds open up against the Milwaukee Brewers. That's Thursday afternoon, March 31st And then Saturday evening, April the 2nd, and then Sunday afternoon, April the 3rd. Big series against that Milwaukee club, and they'll be without Zach Greinke to start things due to a basketball-related injury that he had suffered right before he came to spring training. Frazier with a late cut. Now he's in the hole, a ball and 2 strikes. Indians are hoping that Carmona can go 5 to 6 innings today. They have been using their starters every 4th day versus every 5th day this spring. Hope to get them a little bit more work.
Well, I think that's the quest of every manager out there, is to try to get your star to the point where he on opening day can give you at least 7 innings if it's going right. And especially when you've got a guy who's a stud at the very top of the rotation like Fausto Carmona. I mean, they really need him to go out there and deliver quality start after quality start if this Indian team is going to have a chance at all.
He gets his 2nd strikeout as Todd Frazier goes down for out number 1.
Well, we talked about the moving fastball that Carmona has. It sinks, it runs in on right-handers, and that time it really overpowers Todd Frazier, who pulled off that ball very badly. You see his left shoulder coming wide open and just throwing right over the top of it.
Here's Jeremy Hermida, and he's an interesting study this spring. The minor league free agent signee, not on the 40-man roster. So if he makes this team, Chris, and you can say the same for Dontrelle Willis, they would have to be added to a full 40-man, so that makes some tough decisions right there.
Well, it means that you have to take 2 players off if that's the case. And keep in mind that the last 2 players the Reds have taken off their 40-man roster were picked up by another team. So there are teams right now that are scouting the Reds, hoping that they make some 40-man roster changes so that they can kind of hover over the Reds roster like buzzards and pick up that spare meat. And I think that that's how good the Reds organization is right now, that other teams are hoping that they're going to get a chance at some of the Reds players.
Well, to his credit, Hermida has done a pretty good job in terms of offense, hitting .350, 7 out of 20 with a couple of home runs, 3 RBIs, including a booming 2-run homer early in the spring here in this ballpark to right. He is playing left field in this game. He has been primarily a right fielder in his career. You remember him mostly with the Florida Marlins. And he would figure to slot in as a left-handed bat off the bench of Dusty Baker's.
Now, that's the one thing that Jeremy Hermida has going for him, is that fact that he's left-handed. The problem, though, is he's really faced up against Freddie Lewis, also a left-handed hitter. He's on the major league roster. He's being paid or will be guaranteed $900,000. So it's a little bit of a long shot for Hermida. He really has to continue to impress. He's got a little more power than Lewis does. He might be just as good an outfielder, but he doesn't have the same speed that Freddie Lewis does. So on one hand, you have a speedy Lewis who can give you some defense, maybe even play center field for you. On the other hand, you have Hermida with a little more power and not quite as much speed. That's the kind of decision-making the Reds brass is looking at.
And all of that goes back really to what Dusty Baker said last Sunday, in that he figures Chris Heisey as his backup center fielder. He's the only other really player that can play that position other than Stubbs, and that would tend you then to lead you to believe that Heisey is going to make this team. Tough at second. Was he on the base? They'll say he was, although it looked like Valbuena had cleared the second base bag when he caught that ball.
Well, the play by Hanahan bounces to the second baseman. It sure does look like it. That's the old phantom play at second base, even though it was not even an attempt to be turned by Valbuena.
It's out to be the second out of the inning. Hanahan made the play, but didn't get much on that throw at all.
To follow up on that comment about Chris Heisey, I think it's been said that Dusty Baker came out and said, Chris Heisey's on my team. And I'll tell you what, you can't find a scout in that scouting section that right now doesn't rate Chris Heisey as a future everyday player in the major leagues. He's just been so impressive in his short time in Cincinnati last year, what he does in spring training, how he prepares, the power that he has. To me, he looks bigger and stronger this year than he did last year. I think the kid's got a great future.
Here's Chris Vólquez. Speaking of a good future, he's 25 years old. Came up, made his big league debut last year. Another one that's having a very good spring, hitting .400 with 10 hits and a homer, 4 runs batted in. Will it get through? It's cut off by the shortstop. That's Everett, and he gets him at first base to retire the side. So they leave a base runner, their first of the game, and through 2, no score.
Indians and Fox Sports Ohio. Jim Day with you. We're in the dugout. We're with the Reds closer Francisco Cordero, and always the first question to a pitcher: how's the arm?
Great, feel great. You know, can't complain, and it's all good.
You came to camp with a little less bulge around the middle, which I'm working on as well. How much has that helped?
It helped a lot. I mean, I think I'm moving better. You know, I think I'm helped my mechanic, and I feel a lot better than I feel last year and during the season. When I get a little bit of pound, but I work hard in the off season, and it's been helping me a lot. I mean, I feel better than ever. You know, and my arms feel great, my body, everything just feel like pretty good.
How nice is it to come to a team that last year you guys thought you were good? Now you know you're good.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot different this year than it was last year. You know, we came to spring training this year with one mindset, and it's do it again what we did last year. You know, we won the division, and it was fun. I mean, it was a lot of fun. I've never been in that situation before into last year. You know, been in the big league a long time, but last year was like one of the greatest year I ever had in the big league. I mean, last year I felt like it was the first time I've been in the big league because we made the playoff. I mean, we don't win real far, but it was we take a good step. You know, we step forward, and it was making the playoff. It was win the division, and we came to a spring training this year, and I see everybody here that's working hard. Everybody here just talking about, you know, we can do it again, and we can go a little bit farther this year than we went last year.
When you're a closer, you've got to have a very short memory, and there are times that, hey, everyone struggles in this game, especially at this level. How much last year, and some of the criticism, and man, you were just open, you are a stand-up guy, some of the criticism that happens, is that motivation for a player?
Yes, it is. I mean, you know, like you said, it's going to be some time where you're going to have some trouble, but you got to be able to come out of it, and you know, you're not going to bring that to the next game, the next season. I mean, you know, I think last year was a good season for me, but at the same time, I realized that I have some trouble, of course, during the season, and it wasn't the best season, but like go back to playoff, it was fun, and I forgot all of what happened last year because we made it to playoffs. You know, because it's not about me, it's about the team. You know, we are the team, and we're trying to go to the playoff. We're trying to go to the World Series. We're trying to win the World Series. So I could have a better season maybe last year. You know, go perfect, 43 out of 43, 45 out of 45, and not make it in the playoff. It was probably going to be fun for me because it was a good season, but not for the team. But I'm here with the team, so I want the team to go to the playoff. I want to go to the playoff. I want to win the World Series, and you know, this was all that matters. Then in the end, I did my job. We went to the playoff, and we're working and doing that again this year.
We're looking forward for a great season from you. Appreciate the time.
Thank you.
No one wants to win more than this guy. Back upstairs.
Thank you, Jim. Francisco Cordero into the playoffs for the first time in his career last year, and now he hopes to get back so he can actually get into a game. He never did appear in that 3-game set against Philly last October. Meanwhile, Mike Leake has been very efficient here in the top of the third. 2 men out, nobody on. And a nice backhanded pick there by Vólquez will end the Indians' third. 1-2-3 for the second time in 3 for the right-hander Mike Leake. Scoreless game, middle of the third. Scoreless game as we head to the bottom of the third. We remind you to be at the ballpark for opening night as the Reds take on the Milwaukee Brewers. And the first 20,000 fans in attendance receive a Reds fleece blanket thanks to Chiquita. For opening night tickets, you can call 513-381-REDS or go to Reds.com. Opening night 2 weeks from today, technically opening day, Thursday, March the 31st. And opening night comes up Saturday, April the 2nd. No game on April Fool's Day, and that's no joke. Corky Miller to start the Reds' third against Fausto Carmona. Corky this spring has 3 hits and 9 at-bats with 3 RBIs. Miller celebrating St. Patrick's Day today, and then he'll celebrate his birthday tomorrow. His 35th birthday tomorrow, Corky Miller.
Well, he was originally drafted, Corky was, by Anaheim back in 1994, signed with the Reds in 1998 when he finally came out of college and signed. And, you know, here's a guy that can show you that you can play a long time around baseball if you will take what they give you. Not complain about being sent to the minor leagues. He's earned himself a real nice living, Corky Miller has, being a backup catcher. A great guy to have around. And I'll tell you what, he's just so valuable to this organization in nurturing pitchers as you come up through the minor leagues. I don't think there's any question or any hesitation on the part of Walt Jocketty or Bill Bavasi, who runs the minor leagues for the Reds, to advance those pitchers from A-ball to AA to AAA and put them under the tutelage of Corky Miller, because having a catcher like that, boy, you can really help yourself learn the game of baseball.
You know, there was a general manager in baseball some years ago who said, I don't like Corky Miller around. He looks like a softball player. But point in fact, he may look like one, but he doesn't play like one, does he?
Well, you know, I had a conversation a year or so ago with Bobby Cox, and Corky Miller spent some time down there, and he just absolutely loved Corky Miller. And if Bobby Cox likes you as a player, that's good enough for me.
Here's Mike Leake, and this would be, I believe, the first pitcher to bat for the Reds this spring. Up until this point, they've played 19 games. Heading into today, they've used the DH to get more everyday players at bats. But now with 14 games and 2 weeks to go until opening day, I would imagine, Chris, we'll see the pitchers start to hit a little bit more.
I think it's important to get them at least familiar in the batter's box. It might not necessarily be a situation where you expect him to get base hits, but in a bunt situation, let's get him out there against live pitching and see what they can do. It's one thing taking batting practice against a guy throwing it right down the middle at 60 miles an hour, and it's a whole different thing when you're facing a guy like Carmona.
Leake had 16 hits and hit .333 last year. Did not hit one over the boards, but when he came up there, it wasn't an automatic out, that was for sure. He strikes out here for the second out of the inning, and so the order turns over, and here's Chris Negron, who struck out to start the Reds first. Fausto Carmona, a 13-game winner a year ago. What they keep talking about with him is let's get him back to the way he was in 07 when he was a 19-game winner. Certainly showed a lot of signs of that one season ago. And now he hits Negron, so he's on with 2 out.
When that ball just gets away from Carmona, you see the run on his fastball. It really goes into a right-hander. Carmona may be trying to clear a little passage for a next pitch slider. That's what he got Negron to swing and miss on the first time up. Never gets that far as a 2-out base runner now.
So here's Zach Cozart. Checks in at 6 foot. They list him as 195. He doesn't look that big, though, does he?
Nobody hits that big. I mean, the guy's got excellent bat speed. He's got a very quick bat to an inside fastball. He showed a lot of power. What, he hit 17 home runs in the minor leagues in AAA last year, and he makes all the plays as shortstop. So, you know, here's a memo to those guys playing shortstop right now, Paul Giannis and Edgar Renteria. You've got a guy just about knocking the door down at AAA, ready to play at the big leagues. And again, if you query scouts, they love this guy, and I can see why.
He was voted the most valuable player on that Louisville team 1 year ago, led the International League in at-bats last season with over 550 of them, one of the top defensive shortstops in that league. And he bumped the guy who had played short a good portion of the year 2 years ago at AAA over to second base. That's Chris Valleca, and he did a great job over there. We've talked all spring, really, Chris, about what kind of a team Rick Sweet is going to have again down at AAA. And we talk about those guys, the guys that are playing in this game today are a lot of those guys that'll be with Rick come early part of April.
And for Reds fans, what that means is that, yes, you're going to have a nice team in Louisville, and they are projected to be, you know, one of the top teams in the league, but you've got big league ready players in the event you have an injury at the major league level. And that's a big key. That's what the minor leagues are for. They're not necessarily to win at Dayton and then to win in AA and then win at AAA. It's in order to bring major league ready players up here when you need them. And the Reds are stock full. At the very top of their pipeline, they've got players that are ready to play in the big leagues, and Cozart might just be at the top of that list.
Cozart had an infield hit his first time, so he tries to keep this inning going. We talked about Miller and Mesoraco behind the plate. That'll probably be at Louisville. That keystone combination up the middle will figure to be this guy, Cozart, and Valleca at second. Now the question will be, really, will we see Alonso at first base? Will we see him in left field? Probably a combination of both, I would guess.
Well, they're going to send Alonso down to AAA to probably play first base. Even though Joey Votto is under wraps for the next few years, the Reds will have him under control until the year 2014. But the guy can hit. And if you can hit, you'll find a place in the major league somewhere. So, you know, a lot of times if you're stuck behind an all-star or an MVP like Joey Votto, you're playing for yourself and you're playing hopefully for another scout to see you play. Maybe you get packaged up into a trade and a multiplayer deal. You go somewhere where you can play, and then in return you get an excellent player coming the other way.
There's a look of the fellow who will skipper that Louisville team again this year, the mustache-free Rick Sweet. He's won 3 straight International League West Division championships down there. Been with the big league club all spring again this year. Now Cozart does not make contact on that one. He strikes out. 4th strikeout for Carmona. A scoreless first 3 here in Goodyear. Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio means Emmy Award-winning Reds Live preceding that every game this year that the Reds are on. FSO, Jim Day, Jeff Picard return to bring you behind-the-scenes exclusive access to players, coaches, plus in-depth features with Brian Giesenschlag and Chris Welsh's award-winning CBTS Tech Talk return to bring you some of the finer points of this great game of baseball. Then afterwards, comprehensive interviews and highlights into the clubhouse with the skipper, Dusty Baker. So we invite you again to turn to Fox Sports Ohio for Reds Live and follow the team that follows the team all season long. It'll be a good one, all starting on Thursday, March the 31st against the Milwaukee Brewers. You were out here early on, Chris, taping a bunch of new Tech Talks, right?
You know, we were talking about Rick Sweet earlier, Jim, and Rick Sweet was kind enough to get a lot of the guys you see on the field now. He brought about 6 or 7 of the top players in the minor leagues out, and we did a whole series on relay throws, how you set up for a relay, how you teach the relays, balls down the line, balls in the gap. I learned a whole bunch, and then we worked the same thing with the relays. I had Mark Berry out there at third base, how he coaches the runners coming around the bases, particular to the ball where it's hitting the ballpark. So we've got a lot of really cool stuff coming up for you on our CBTS Tech Talk this year. Did a dozen or more segments with Ted Barrett, Major League umpire, to define some of the rules that are fuzzy in a lot of our minds that are going to clear a lot of things up. So make sure you tune in.
So it's not just rehashed stuff. It's a lot of good new stuff. It sounds great.
I have a lot of fun doing them. I'll tell you, we've done more than 500 of them now, and over the years, maybe more closer to 600. And they're all up on the Fox Sports Net website, FS Ohio. If you go to foxsports.com, then go into regionals and find FS Ohio. You'll be able to work your way through and find those Tech Talks. If you've got some questions about how to teach your young players at home, it's a great resource.
It's a one-out base hit for Sin-Soo Choo. He's on for the first time. Hit number 2 for the Indians.
Leading batter, first baseman, number 41, Carlos Santana.
You know, Mike Leake looks a little bit different today. He looks like he's being a lot more aggressive in the strike zone. Last time we saw him pitch, Jim, he came in second when we played the Cubs over in Las Vegas. Before that, he pitched against, I think, the Milwaukee Brewers and got beat up a little bit. In fact, he was so around the strike zone in that game, I think he threw 9 pitches and gave up 5 consecutive hits. But he seems to be more aggressive with the way he's pitching, maybe sensing the fact that the time is running short, that he really needs to show the Reds that he can, be the pitcher that he was in the first half last year.
Remember, of course, he's never pitched a game in the minor leagues. He went on the DL late in the season last year with fatigue in his right shoulder. They activated him in early September, but he really never pitched again after his last appearance in late August. Pinch ran a couple of times, was not on the active roster in the postseason. Choo is going. Here's Corky's throw, and they have got him at second base.
Nice pick at the other end by Zach Cozart. The short one hopper there by Corky Miller. And a nice pick by the shortstop to lay the tag on him. Leake gets rid of the ball quickly. He's not an easy guy to steal on, and that ball took a nice hop for Cozart. They apply the tag.
Leake has fallen behind Santana, who grounded out his first time. Now he's ahead 3 balls and no strikes. We mentioned he's playing some first base today. They expect to play him at first some this year to give his knees a break. He went down late last year with a left knee injury with a collision in a game against Boston and had off-season surgery. While Luke Carlin is catching today, it looks like Lou Marson would be their backup catcher. There's a fellow battling for a spot on this team, the free agent signee, Dontrelle Willis, signed to a minor league contract. What do you think, by the way, of the green hat look today?
Well, we get to see it every year. Just about this time, they become collector's items.
That ball drops out in right field. Frazier came on, but didn't get it.
Well, the wind's blowing out, so the outfield's playing very deep here, especially with a guy who's got the kind of power that Santana does, and that's why Frazier, who's playing deep, can't quite come in there and get it. The only way you've got a chance is to leave your feet, and I'm not so sure even a diving attempt is going to get that ball.
He took it, looked like a first step back, and that kind of did him in. Talk so much about Todd Frazier and all the different positions he can play. Left, right, second, short, third, first. Not in right field today. Travis Hafner bats for the second time. Hafner is a guy that has a contract, a big one, through 2012 for the Indians. Team has an option on 13. Another one like Carmona, trying to regain his form of a number of years ago. He put up some monster power years with the Tribe. Hafner had 4 straight years, 04 through 07, 100 plus RBIs each year, topping that with a 40 plus home run season in 2007.
You know, right before that pitch, Corky Miller went out to talk to Mike Leake on the 2-0 count. Probably said to him, hey, he's looking for a fastball right here. Let's give him something that looks like a fastball, but take something off of it. Hafner swung right through that changeup. Comes back with the heater and just misses downstairs. No question about it. Hafner, one of those dead red hitters, just loves to spin on the fastball.
Leake came into this inning at 36 pitches. He is now at 52, so some 16 pitches so far in this frame.
He was really good last year. He averaged under 16 pitches per inning last year, Mike Leake did, and that's a pretty good measure. If you're 16 pitches or under, you're among the best in the league as far as throwing strikes, being aggressive, and pitching to contact.
That's ball 4 to Hafner, so he joins Santana on the bases. Just remember when we were in Vegas, we saw, and you mentioned it, Greg Maddux was in the dugout for the Cubs. He used to say his goal always was 13 pitches an inning. That's what he strived for every inning.
He'd like to get a guy out in 3 pitches. I mean, that's the way you do it. You show him one, let the hitter hit the second or third one, and you know why get a guy out and it takes you 8 or 9 pitches instead of doing it in 3 or 4. And I think that you know, again, I'll go with what Maddux says when it comes to pitching.
The macho thing is the strikeout. The smart thing is save those pitches, right?
Well, you know, when you've got to really go to what type of pitcher you are. And Mike Leake is a guy that's not going to get a lot of strikeouts. He's got great movement on the ball. He would rather see you hit his pitch rather than swing and miss his pitch.
So Kearns with an RBI chance here. He hit the ball hard his first time. A nice play made out in left by Hermida. So with Willis throwing in the pen, this would figure to be Mike Leake's final frame. After the leadoff line out, a hit, a caught stealing, a hit, and a walk, and the Indians have a pair on. That one moves Kearns off the plate. Did not clip him.
Yeah, laboring a little bit more this inning. It might be a factor of fatigue. He's not thrown this many pitches, you know, over this many innings so far this spring.
Chased one there, didn't get it. The count is even.
Boy, he really had Austin Kearns fooled here. It looked like he took a little bit off the breaking ball and ran it away from him a little bit. That may just be the off-speed pitch. Could be a fastball that he took something off. Nice sink on that ball. Had Kearns way out in front looking for a fastball. Got something else.
And now he gets the strikeout here. His second of this game, working around 2 on and 2 out. So, middle of the 4th, still no score. The Reds and the Tribe. Reds are kicking off the season with a 3-game series against the Milwaukee Brewers. Don't miss this exciting opening 3-game set presented by Cincinnati Bell. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or visit Reds.com today. Let's head back down to the Reds third base dugout with a man who obviously did not get the green shirt memo today, Jim Day.
Yeah, I got Irish in my blood too, and I forgot the green shirt. And the green hats, my head's a little too big, won't fit me.
Take care of it later tonight.
We will. We'll take care of it tonight. Homer Bailey, we're deeper into your career now. How much does experience mean?
It means a lot. Every year you pick up a few things. I mean, it's not every day, and you get a little more comfortable with camps and getting ready for a season, and then you know what to expect during the course of a season.
When I came up in television, I thought I knew everything, and I didn't know much. You experience anything like that?
Really, I don't think you ever really know as much as you think you do. Luckily we have a really good coaching staff here. So the last year or two, I've really been able to learn a lot from Brian Price, and it's really a pleasure working with him every day.
Most of the talk in past years has been, well, is Homer going to make the rotation? This year doesn't seem to be. They seem to put you in there. I know it's not a lock. Nothing's ever a lock, but how does that make you feel?
You know what? I think any spring you're really preparing to get ready for a season, getting ready to get the competition back in your system and learn how to deal with that this early. So to me, that's the biggest thing, and it's always been like that every year. Is not really to worry about the competition with teammates, but more about get ready for a season, because those to me are the games that count the most.
How about all this pitching though? As a team, I mean, obviously you guys want to win. You guys got a tremendous pitching staff.
It's better to have and not need, right?
No doubt about it. This spring, what do you think you have to work on the rest of the way? How's the arm feeling to get ready for that first week? What do you need to do?
We need to play in colder weather. It's been pretty nice here. The biggest thing, just get ready. Get the pitch count up, get the innings going. And like I said, just get ready for a season, get comfortable with all your pitches.
Well, and it helps to have some hitting, too. And Todd Frazier just went deep. Let's go back upstairs. Homer, thanks for your time.
Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Homer. 1-0 Reds on the Todd Frazier long ball the other way against Carmona.
Well, the ball out over the plate, with the wind blowing out to right field, you're going to get some help that way, but you still have to get it up there. And Frazier's a big, strong guy, 6 feet 3 inches tall. He's well over 220, and he really jolted that ball and got it up in the jet stream.
He had 17 last year at AAA Louisville. He gets his first of the spring, giving the Reds the advantage here in the bottom of the fourth. There's Jeremy Hermida now. Frazier, a happy man.
Take another look at Todd Frazier and the swing that he puts. He's got kind of an odd setup. See how high his hands are, and his elbow, his right elbow, very high, but he gets that ball and just drives it the other way. Interesting conversation. I was with Todd Frazier and Dusty Baker during the Reds caravan as we went through northern part of Reds country, Columbus, Athens, up to Zanesville, and so on. And he was telling Dusty how he was preparing in the offseason down in Tampa, Florida, working out with the likes of Derek Jeter and making sure that he was in shape, but also playing golf. And Dusty told him, he said, maybe you ought to give up that golf, because the one thing in golf and baseball that are different, as a golfer, if you're a right-handed golfer, you keep your left arm straight. In baseball, you want that at a 90-degree angle, and you never want to extend that left arm out there. And you may get off to a slow start. And for the first day or so, Todd didn't believe it. And he was saying, oh, no, I can make that adjustment, Skip. Don't worry about me, And then Baker said to him, well, do you get off to slow starts? And then, you could see Todd almost thinking to himself, gee, maybe I have gotten off the last few starts. So by the time we got off the bus the last day of the caravan, he told Dusty, he said, Skip, I'm giving up golf for the rest of the year. And I think they both smiled and were happy about that. And just a very likable young man, and showed a pretty good swing right there.
That's the Dusty Baker approach right there, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is.
Todd Frazier said recently, yes, he is very proud of what he did as a little leaguer at Toms River, but he'd like to be known now more for something he does in the big leagues as opposed to doing something in the league.
Well, he was a star of that Toms River, New Jersey team that won it, back in 1994 or 5, somewhere in the 90s. And he was the winning pitcher of the final game. But what he fails to tell you that he gave up 5 home runs in that ball game. I think they ended up winning 15-13 or something like that. But that's a great memory for him.
Cairo in the air, Santana chasing, and he's not going to get it down the right field line.
Little hit and run action right there. They sent Hermida off with the pitch, and Cairo obviously trying to hit that ball the other way, just got under it.
Hermida drew the 1-out walk. Mark Berry communicating over there with the runner at first base, Jeremy Hermida.
You know, it was an interesting conversation that Jim Day had with Homer Bailey. And I think the one thing that Homer Bailey needs to prove to everybody, Reds fans, scouts, the other teams, is that he can stay healthy for a whole year. He's never pitched more than 113 innings at the major league level. And he's got the ability to be one of the best pitchers around. He's got an explosive fastball, a very good curveball. He's come up with a nice little split off-speed pitch that he works in there. He's much more mature now than he has been the last few years, much more open to coaching. And I think that the stage is set for him to take the next step. But the key is to stay healthy. And I think that means pitching within yourself. And I'm really anxious to see Homer take the ball this year every fifth day and be able to give with the Reds what they need.
He made an interesting comment to Jim's question. He said, "You never know as much as you think you know." This could be a pair. There's one, and a wide throw to the first baseman by Valbuena will allow Cairo to reach with 2 out.
You know, it's interesting. That's a comment that a few years ago you would never even think that Homer Bailey would utter such a comment, because he really came on the scene thinking he did know everything. Young man out of LaGrange, Texas, raised on a chicken farm. And he was the biggest thing coming out of that county, I guarantee you, and maybe forever. And when you get to the big league camp and you look around, everybody in that locker room was the biggest thing in that county, maybe the biggest thing in the state. And it takes a few years sometimes for a guy to sit back and say, whoa, all these guys are talented as well as me. And maybe it takes a little bit more than that. And I think that he's finally figured it out. And his work ethics have been very good.
Runner going, the throw is wide, and Valbuena saved that ball from going into center field, and the throw from Luke Carlin giving Cairo a stolen base.
A surprise attack. Miguel Cairo, not the guy you'd expect to be a stolen base candidate, but he just gets a good lead right there and goes on the first move that Carmona makes. Carmona didn't pay him much mind at all.
So a hit now by Valaika could add to this 1-0 Reds advantage. Cairo stole a grand total of 4 bases 1 year ago. Hardy there, Valaika.
It's a good challenge for these young players. I mean, they're facing Cleveland's best. Last year, down the pennant stretch, there were a lot of scouts following the Indians around, and the reason they were following Fausto Carmona. I know a couple of National League teams were in the hunt to try to get him. They decided not to put him on the trade market and accept any of the offers that were out there. But this guy, he's a good test for a young player, no doubt.
Everett to Santana, retires Valaika here to end the bottom of the 4th. And the Reds have jumped in front on this long ball by Todd Frazier. 1-0 Reds after 4. Remind you that Fox Sports Ohio is your home for Reds Cactus League baseball. It continues 1 week from today, March 24th. Reds take on Josh Hamilton and the AL champion Texas Rangers right here in Goodyear. Follow the Reds as they march to opening day. Join us at 4 p.m. March the 24th, 1 week from today, right here, Fox Sports Ohio. New man into the game for the Redlegs is Dontrelle Willis.
Yeah, former Rookie of the Year, a 2-time All-Star. Here he is, the left-hander in camp with the Reds, trying to make the team as a reliever. Former 20-game winner with the Florida Marlins. In fact, he won 22 games. He was 22-10 as a 23-year-old back in 2005.
This is his first appearance since he rolled his ankle on that bat in Mesa against the Cubs, coming up 1 week ago this Saturday.
When you look at Willis now and you compare his delivery to what it was early in his career when he broke on the scenes with the Florida Marlins in 2003, he had a big high leg kick and kind of a twisting, turning Louis Tiant / Juan Marichal wind-up, and he's all but gotten back to conventional now. He's still a little bit across his body, but you see here with nobody on base, he's pitching out of the stretch. So he's trying to stay as compact as possible.
Still only 29 years old.
Yeah, amazing.
71 major league career wins against 63 losses. He's only made 3 relief appearances in his big league career. Driven by Hanahan to left. And let's see if he's going to get a pair. They're going to test him at second base, and he is in there sliding for the leadoff double. Let's go down to the dugout with Jim Day. He has today's Red starter, Mike Leake.
Jim, thank you very much. 4 innings, scoreless baseball. Safe to say you felt pretty good?
Yeah, it felt good. I mean, each outing's been a progression. So now finally getting to the point where I'm getting my command and just working on pitch selections right now.
What's different this year than last year?
I mean, realistically, not much. But, I mean, I feel like I can take the time to work on some things a little bit this year. Last year I had to get right into it and try to show them what I had.
First time the Reds have not used a DH this year. Let you hit today.
Yeah, I mean, the first at bat's always the one you want to get out of the way because it's been a while. But no, it's nice to see some pitches and next time hopefully I'll get what I want.
How's the competition? Last year, obviously, you went right to the big leagues. Only 20-some guys have done that, never played minor league baseball. But this year, a little different. Competition helping you, making you better?
Yeah, I mean, it always makes you better. I mean, you just got to realize you're still on the same team, and you can't really make enemies. So it's just still have fun with it. I mean, one of us three is not going to be happy with what we're made to do, but it's something we have to do, and hopefully we can make each other better instead of make each other worse.
One last question. Towards the end of the season, obviously they shut you down. They talked about a fatigued arm. Now I know a pitcher and a competitor, you'll take the ball and say, hey, I don't have a tired arm. But did you do anything in the offseason to combat that so that no one says that again?
Strengthened it. I mean, I focused this year on getting strong and lifting and making sure it wasn't going to happen again. I mean, yeah, it may happen again just because there's freak injuries in baseball, but I mean, I was just working hard and trying to get the strength back.
All right. We'll end it on that because the boys are starting to mess with him. Jim Kelch.
Thank you, J.D. Reds have the infield in with a runner at third and 1 out. Very composed, Mike Leake, for a 23-year-old, isn't he, Chris?
I think that's one of the main reasons why he was a guy that was picked to come right out of college into the major leagues with no minor league experience. He had such stage presence last year. He didn't seem to have anything fool with him mentally last year. He looked so confident, and the Reds projected that into the big leagues, and he was really the best pitcher the Reds had in their rotation the first half of the season. They would not have gone to the playoffs had not Mike Leake done what he did, running his record off to 6-1 before the All-Star break.
There's Mike Leake. Did not lose a game until the middle of June last year, his first loss in the big leagues, and he turns in a solid 4 today. Speaking of solid, a nice play down at first by Miguel Cairo. Short hopped that ball by Valbuena to hold the runner Hanahan at third. So now the Reds infield moves back to normal depth with 2 men out.
You know, if there was a sixth man award given like they do in basketball, you have to give it to Miguel Cairo because he was so valuable to the Reds last year. When Scott Rowland was injured and couldn't play third base, you stick him at third. When Joey Votto had a sore neck and missed some time last year, here's Miguel Cairo playing first base. He can play outfield. He's a nice hitter. He's a good contact hitter. You can put a hit and run on with him. He can bunt. He's a veteran that he's been around, and he has a certain amount of stature with the younger players. A real valuable player to this ball club.
We mentioned last Saturday, Chris, when we did the game in Las Vegas. First time in his career, he signs a 2-year contract.
Yeah, you know, it was funny yesterday. He was taking batting practice, and he's got his son here in camp with him. He's got to be about 6 or 7 years old, maybe 8. And his son was behind the hitting cage with Dusty Baker, and Miguel fouled one off into the cage, and his son said, "Come on, Dad, hit one up the middle. Go up the middle with it," which is the same thing the hitting coaches say. So he bounced one up the middle, about a 4-hopper off the L screen that protects the pitcher, and his son said, "Not like that, Dad. Hit a line drive up the middle." And he had everybody rolling behind the backstop yesterday. Just a great kid, great father, nice family. Reds are lucky to have Miguel Cairo.
Miguel probably turned to him and said, "I'm trying, son, I'm trying." Brantley trying to tie this game as he takes a strike there. I want to welcome you, those of you who have been watching in and out. Big day in college basketball today. The NCAA tournament gets underway in earnest, and I want to congratulate the folks down at Morehead State. Their big win as a 13 seed over the University of Louisville, and the Kentucky Wildcats, a win over Princeton. That's a 4 versus 13 win as well, and that's a 2-point game. Kentucky moves on. Cut off by Cozart, and he makes the play to first to retire the side. Hit by Hanahan, goes for naught for the Tribe. Still 1-0 Reds, middle of the fifth. Ohio for the 135th opening day in Reds history on March the 31st as the Reds start their defense of the National League Central Division title they won 1 year ago. It kicks off at noon with a special re-airing of Jay Bruce's division-clinching home run, including the entire champagne-soaked post-game show in its entirety, with Jim Day getting drenched on the concourse. Then at 1, hour-long Reds Live kicks off the 2011 season, getting you ready for the game, which starts at 2. Baseball back in Cincinnati, all right here on Fox Sports Ohio. 1-0 Reds, bottom of the fifth. Fausto Carmona still out there. Through 457 pitches. Now face Corky Miller out of the 8th spot. They get the 5th inning started. Mike Leake went 4, allowed no runs, 3 hits. Dontrelle Willis will bat for himself here in the bottom of the 5th. Well, He hits it hard, but Kearns handles it for the first out. There comes Dontrelle. He'll bat for himself. Bottom of inning 5. In his career as a hitter, 232 with 8 career home runs. All of those with Florida, and he gets himself a base hit here. Extra bases into the right field corner. Chu will dig it out. Willis headed for third, and he is going to get in there with a head-first slide. Wow, he's excited over there.
God, you got to love that enthusiasm. They are roaring in the Reds dugout. Dontrelle Willis lights the crowd up. They're on their feet here at Goodyear Stadium with this triple down the first baseline. Well, the D-Train is a pretty good athlete now. He hits the ball inside the bag past the first baseman. It goes all the way down into the corner. And Shin-Soo Choo can't pick it out in time. And Dontrelle takes one look over his right shoulder, and here he comes head first.
Pete Rosen it right at us in the third base is Dontrelle Willis. Only the second triple the Reds have picked up this spring, and the other also from an unlikely source, Yonder Alonso.
And here's a guy that just turned his ankle a week or so ago and back running pretty well.
That's going to get the run home. Base hit by Negron, hard hit in the center, 2-0 Reds. Green hats all over Dontrelle Willis as he comes in, glad-handing, and you know that when he is interviewed after this game, that's going to be the topic of conversation that he wants to lead with, right?
You know, Dontrelle was one of the first guys in camp. In fact, he was down here in camp so early that he was down before even the Fantasy League players came down on February the 5th. So he'd been working out down here a couple of times a week with Brian Price, the pitching coach, trying to get himself ready, knowing that this is a very important year in his comeback. Coming off a big-time contract that he'd been paid the last few years for Detroit. But he's gotten himself ready. He's revamped his whole pitching delivery and his approach, and you can't help but root for him because he's such a dedicated guy, great guy to be around. And you can see by the reception he got in the dugout, his players around him love him.
And we had a chance to meet him for the first time at Reds Fest in early December this year. He may even live out here now in the Scottsdale area. I'm not positive of that. But if he does indeed make this team as a left-hander out of the bullpen, that would give the Reds ideally then 3 left-handers with Chapman and Bray and Dontrelle Willis. And with the starter Wood, 4 lefties overall. Slowly hit to third and trying to barehand that ball hand-to-hand unsuccessfully. That'll be a base hit for Zach Cozart. So 4 hard hit balls, technically 3 hard hit balls, and now that infield hit in this inning against Carmona.
I've been talking about Dontrelle, and here's a little bit of his career in a nutshell. First 4 seasons, he was very hot. Complete games, you can see 15 of them out of 127 starts. His earned run average, very good, way over 500. His last 4 years, it's been cold. Rocky times for Dontrelle, and some injuries have kind of crept into his career problems there, but the Reds hope that all those are behind him and he can be a staple in his bullpen. I'll tell you one thing. Dusty Baker would love to have 3 left-handers down in that bullpen. And right now, the 2 left-handers that are inked into the pen are Bill Bray and Aroldis Chapman. If you add Dontrelle Willis, he would be the one legitimate long man the Reds would have down there, which they have not had the last couple of years. A guy that could come in when a starter gets banged out of the game early, and he could give you several innings. So instead of having a whole staff day, you got one guy.
Trying for the double steal, the throw back to the plate, and out at the dish is Chris Negron. Two-4-2 with a tag at the plate. on Negron.
Well, the Indians didn't fall for it. The runner at first base goes about halfway, Cozart, and then the second baseman, Valbuena, comes in, fires right to home at Carlin. And then Carlin realized that his left leg really wasn't blocking the plate. And at the last moment, he stuck his leg out there with that shin guard and kept Negron from getting to the dish.
Heisey still has an RBI opportunity here. Chris, back to what you were talking about regarding the pitching staff. There is a possibility again this year that Dusty and the Reds could do what they did a year ago, and that is start the season technically with 11 pitchers, leaving that fifth pitcher, depending on who it is, behind and adding an extra everyday player for the first week.
Right now, that fifth pitcher is Johnny Cueto. You know, he was set back a little bit, had some soreness in his forearm and his bicep. Nothing really to be worried about, they assure us. But just in case, because he missed a few days of throwing, Johnny Cueto has been moved back now to the number 5 spot in the rotation. So it'll be a ways into the season until he finally gets that start. And that is one thing, of course, they did that last year. Juan Francisco made the ball club until they were able to need Mike Leake in the number 5 spot in the rotation. Don't know how they're going to break camp this year, but that's certainly one of the options.
Obviously, you'd have to do it with a fellow who has options, and Homer Bailey does not. Johnny Cueto does. Heisey strikes out on that 2-2 offering. That ends the bottom of the fifth, but the Reds do add another run. The highlight of it, a triple by that man, Dontrelle Willis. We head to inning number 6. There you see the mass exodus that occurs every day during spring training, not only here in Goodyear but at all ballparks. The fellows that are done through the first half of the game, Chris, and they are headed toward the shop.
Kind of reminds me of my career, Jim. You're out of there after 5 innings, if you can make it that long. But, you know, the rule of thumb here is that you stay around for 5 innings because normally in spring training, that's when you see the everyday major league players come into play. And then after the 5th inning, you're bringing in the minor leaguers, the A-ball, AA, and AAA players. And you don't want to make your big league pitchers sit around and have to scout those guys because they might get confused seeing so many different players. So, but these guys are heading to the shower on St. Patrick's Day. I don't know, maybe they all have coupons for a special Irish corned beef sandwich somewhere at their favorite locale.
Meanwhile, a new pitcher on third of the day for the Reds is Nick Massett.
He figures to be the setup guy in front of Francisco Cordero like he was last year. A lot of people are calling Nick Massett a closer in waiting. He certainly has the stuff to do that.
Massett will face Everett, Sin-Soo Choo, and Carlos Santana here in inning number 6. Reds in front by a score of 2-0. Bad swing there. And then the whole 2 strikes. Let's go back down to the dugout. Jim Day has a very special guest.
Yes, Eric the Red. Eric Davis, of course. How often do people say to you, man, you look like you could still play?
Every day, but sometimes I always tell them looks can be deceiving sometimes. No.
I don't know. You take very good care of yourself. We've asked you this before, but how much does it mean for the Castellini family and the ownership group to open up the doors and want the former Reds to come back and be a part of this?
Okay, it means a whole lot, especially when you've been part of the other side where the doors have been slammed and locked and thrown away the key for so many years. But okay, it's just a credibility to the Castellini family and the management staff that they put together to allow the ex-players to come back and try to help out as much as we can.
How often do young players come to you?
Well, it's a process. I mean, you know, sometimes when they see you, they get intimidated, don't know what to say. But as you get to know them and start to communicate with them, it starts to open up, and then it starts to ask different questions, and they kind of hang around you to learn as much. And that's the point that I enjoy. It's just a general conversation. It's just about the game.
This team, you've been around a lot of teams. Excited about the young talent around here? I mean, this is as much talent as we've seen in a long time in the Reds uniforms.
Yeah, we haven't really had this many guys that have stayed in camp this long in a long period of time, and that's what makes it great, is because now you have some real competition at every position. You know, there's some guys that you know that's going to be there, but the competitive drive that we have from our pitching staff to our bullpen to our extra guys, it hadn't been around here in a long time, and it's only going to make the guys that are in Cincinnati strive that much harder because they know they got some good young talented players coming behind them.
I think you lead a comfortable life, but you ever have the itch to coach?
I'm coaching right now.
Well, I mean, to get in the everyday grind and be officially on the staff.
Well, I like teaching more than I do coaching. And for people that's in tune with that, really know that it is a difference. And you don't really get to that point at the major league level as much as you do at the minor league level. And the minor league level is actually more important of the process of having a small market team and not being able to spend X amount of dollars in the free agent market consistently. You have to have that teaching done. So I'm enjoying doing what I'm doing.
Well, get near the bat rack because the dugout just cleared out. They may need you to hit today.
Not today.
Eric Davis, one of the greatest Reds to ever play the game. And as he said, he's coaching now.
Thank you, Jim. Over 1,600 games in 17 years as a big leaguer for Eric Davis. And I know he's been out in the caravan the last couple of years and thoroughly enjoys himself.
You know, the interesting thing is you see Eric Davis, who does look like he can still play. If you look at the birth dates of a lot of the players that are in Reds camp, a lot of these guys were born in the middle, late 80s, even some around 1990. They really never got to see and appreciate how good Eric Davis was. Now, you can always say that about guys who come to camp like Joe Morgan and Johnny Bench. I mean, they have to be told by, their friends who Johnny Bench was or who Pete Rose was. But it's almost unbelievable that they wouldn't remember Eric Davis. But that said, he needs no introduction to a lot of these guys because just the credibility that he has, the stage presence that he has, the work that he puts in with all the outfielders and the base runners, I think it means a lot. And I think the organization is fortunate that Eric wants to come back, and they ought to be congratulated for getting guys like, Barry Larkin, who's been in camp, Sean Casey has been in camp, Joe Morgan, Jack Billingham, Jim Maloney, Johnny Bench. You can go on. And a lot of the Reds greats are coming back and giving something back to these young players.
Well, you're right about stage presence with Eric Davis. He personifies cool, doesn't he? He really looks cool. No matter where he goes, he's always under control.
I'll tell you, he's always been the best dresser or close to the best dresser in the league. That hasn't changed. I mean, even out here in the desert Southwest where, the common attire is a pair of shorts and a T-shirt, not Eric the Red. His guy is just cut clean it can be.
That's what I'm talking about.
All polished up. Got some nice ice hanging off those earlobes too, doesn't
Sure
it?
does. Eric Davis, Reds Hall of Fame. Walk here by Massett. Brought Carlos Santana to the plate. He walked Chu, who early on this year during the spring was not playing right field. He was DHing early on. He had a mild left elbow strain, but that has straightened itself out. He's been out in right field for most of the games this spring. Reds have a home run in the fourth by Todd Frazier, and then a one-out triple by Dontrelle Willis. Run-producing single by Chris Negron. They lead this game 2-0. They're in the sixth inning.
We talked about all the former Reds players that have been around. I saw former COO John Allen today at the ballpark. He was here last night, and John lives in Kansas City. He's heading down to Tucson to watch his favorite Kansas State play in the NCAA basketball tournament. He and his wife Anna here in Goodyear to take in a couple of ball games. Good to see John. You know, he's running triathlons now, or participating in triathlons.
I did not know that.
Amazing.
His last major project with the Reds was this facility here in Goodyear to make sure that it got put together the way the Reds wanted it to. Eric Davis also mentioned the fact that there are so many players left in camp. Actually, early this week, the Reds did have a cut down of 8 players, none of which was a surprise at all. Philippe Valaquette, Daryl Thompson, Yasmani Grandal, Danny Dorn, Chris Denovi, a catcher, Jeremy Horst, a left-handed pitcher, Donnie Joseph, a pitcher, Matt Klinker, Justin Lear, who underwent Tommy John surgery a year ago. No surprises in that group, really.
No, not really. I was down actually watching one of the minor league games yesterday. Saw Danny Dorn hit a ball about 500 feet. He was very impressive in camp when he was here. But you know, he, as an outfielder and a first baseman, he's a guy that is behind a few players right now on the depth chart. So, you know, the only thing they can do is go on down there and plug away and hope that an opportunity arises.
Massa gets the foul out of Santana, so with 2 men down, here's Travis Hafner. Hafner in this game has been on twice. He had an infield hit and a walk. Good big league matchup right here for both sides. Pretty good jump by the runner and a stolen base by Sin-Soo Choo.
5-tool player Choo is. I tell you, he's a guy that really, you know, he along with Grady Sizemore give some pretty good offense to the Cleveland Indians. Now, whether Sizemore can come back from that knee injury and be the player that he was is yet to be seen. But Choo is a legitimate major league superstar.
Back-to-back years of 20-plus stolen bases. Puts himself in scoring position here. These two teams, the Indians and the Reds, play each year for the Ohio Cup. They'll play again this season for that Ohio Cup, late May and then early July. The games in July will be at Great American Ballpark, and the Reds have had that coveted cup for the last 3 years. In fact, it is on display right here as you enter the press box area.
Of course, every game you play, whether it's interleague play or inside your own division, means something. And the Reds have been the beneficiaries the last few years of having that natural rivalry as defined by Major League Baseball being the Cleveland Indians. And the Indians have been down the last few years. Now, there was a time early on in the 90s, you know, back in the days of Albert Bell and Manny Ramirez, that the Indians were almost unbeatable. But the tide has changed here. The Indians have been shut out 15 times last year. That's tops in the American League. And they hope to be a little bit better than they were last year when they won only 69 games. But the Reds are hoping that they can take advantage again this year like they have the last few years.
Now, they won the series the last 2 years, 4-2, and then 3 years ago in 08, they won 5 out of the 6 games. And again, they'll meet in Cleveland the 20th through the 22nd of May, and then at Great American Ballpark the first 3 days of July.
Looks like Nick Massa struggling a little bit with his breaking stuff. The 2 batters that he's walked in this inning, both been left-handers.
Massa had only walked 2 in 4 1/3 innings coming into today's outing, and he's walked a pair in this inning.
You know, Massa is kind of an interesting study because as a short reliever, he's a converted starter. He started over 100 games in the minor leagues with the White Sox before being acquired by the Reds in exchange for Ken Griffey. And he comes over and he has about 4 or 5 pitches that he can throw for strikes. You know, a couple of different kinds of fastballs, a curveball, a slider, a cutter, a splitter. But most short relievers, guys that only work an inning at a time, usually bring to the mound only 1, 2, or 3 pitches at the most. And sometimes it's hard for Nick to figure out which of those 5 pitches that he throws he wants to use on that particular day. One of his best pitches, though, is that overhand curveball. I mean, it is a hammer. There it is, just missed.
Working with a new batter he made in this inning. Devin Mesoraco is behind the plate now, replacing Corky Miller.
Well, you talk about a young kid with a good release, strong arm. We saw that in Las Vegas when the Reds played the Cubs up there, Jim. This young man's come a long way.
Austin Kearns 0 for 2. Now Massett is one errant one away from loading the bases with 3 walks here in the 6th.
Now the problem here with the 2-run ball game is the fact that you've got a 3-2 count. Runners will be released, and a ball in the gap might tie this baby up.
Chu is at second, Hafner's at first. They're going, and Kearns swings and misses. Massett gets the strikeout he wanted, ending the top of the 6th inning. With 2 left, 6 in the game, left on base by Cleveland. Big day thus far on St. Patrick's Day 2011. The Reds leading by a score of 2-0. Frazier the home run. Dontrelle Willis the triple and a shutout innings worth of work. And the highlights of this one thus far. And can't forget Mike Leake's 4 innings of shutout work as well. Fausto Carmona, meanwhile, still in the game for the Indians. He'll work into the 6th. He's given the Reds 2 runs on 5 hits. He's walked 2. He struck out 5. Fred Lewis came in the last half inning to play right field, replacing Frazier. Will bat for the first time. Foul ball toward Lewis. Let's head back to the dugout with Jim Day. Jim.
All right, I'm with Ramón Hernández, Jim Kelch, and how fun is it to work with all these talented pitchers? I mean, this is a tremendous staff, is it not?
Oh yeah, it's having a blast. You know, you have a very young guys with a lot of talent. Now they got 1 more year experience in the big leagues, and it's always fun. You know, especially after last year, and you got the same guys coming back. So I think we're expecting a very, very good season from last year.
Lewis makes it to second base on a shot down the right field line. Competition in camp. Ryan Hannigan and you split time. I know any catcher wants to catch all the time, and a lot of people would think maybe some tension there, but doesn't seem to be any tension at all. You guys get along great, don't you?
Oh yeah, Ryan is a great guy, and he's a great ball player. He did a very good job last year, so he deserves his playing time. You know, it's time to share time. We got to share time, but the good thing when whoever's catching in that game, nobody's missing, because I think me and Ryan, we prepare very good for this season. And we both someone playing, we just giving our best shot, and I think for our side, we're trying to do the best we can.
I know you like to help out young guys, and you got a couple guys coming up through the system here, Mesoraco and Yasmani Grandal. How much have they picked your brain?
You know what? They're very good kids. They're very good listeners. They always ask you a question when they're trying to figure out something out. And those 2 guys, they have a lot of talent. And I think you guys are going to see them a long time in the big league, because they're really getting close to be ready. And I know they're going to do a very good job when they go up to the big leagues.
What is it like coming to camp as division champs and basically having the same team back?
Outstanding. I think I cannot get better than this. You know, we got the same guys. We, like I said, with one more year experience, and now we play as a team, and everybody know what his role is. And now we learn one thing: they play as a team and learn how to win games.
Appreciate your time. Good luck this year.
Thank you.
Ramón Hernández, ready to go, guys. Back upstairs.
All right, thank you, Jim. Ramón not playing today. He and Hannigan split the game last night here against Kansas City. And while Yonder Alonso batting for Miguel Cairo with a runner at third and one out here in the home sixth inning.
You know, when you combine both the catchers that the Reds had last year, you can make an argument that this is one of the best catching duos or best catching positions in all of the National League. Of course, Yadier Molina in St. Louis probably sets the level of play at the very top right there. But you put Hernandez and Ryan Hannigan together. They caught similar amount of games. They both hit near 300. Their fielding percentage is very high. They threw out a lot of runners. Ramón Hernández came up with so many clutch two-out hits, and Ryan Hannigan really remade himself between 2009 and 2010 as a hitter. He hit the ball a lot harder last year, hit some long balls last year, and the Reds have rewarded him with a 3-year extension. And it's a great thing to know that you've got a lot of guys in that dugout now that have a little bit of sense of security, and now they can focus on baseball, focus on winning, and I think that's how far this ball club and this organization has come.
Yeah, that happened earlier this week. 3 years at $4 million through the 2013 season, as he'll progress not only himself personally behind the plate, but to help those youngsters that you're talking about.
Yeah, really nice to see that, because here's a guy that was never even drafted. And here he is making to make $4 million over the course of 3 years. Not too bad.
Everett makes a nice play in the hole, keeping the runner at third base, Lewis, and there are 2 outs.
Yeah, lost opportunity right there for Yonder Alonso to get that runner in from third base with less than 2 outs. Couldn't get it out of the infield.
Yonder, 23 years old, will figure to take over at first base. There's the runner at third, Lewis.
And I hope he learned something from that at bat from Fausto Carmona. Carmona, early in the at bat, threw sliders down and in, moved him off the plate, got him out with a changeup down and away, and Yonder, like a young, kind of an inexperienced player, played right into that strategy.
Well, let's see if Chris Valleca can solve the veteran right-hander Carmona. I say veteran, he's only 27 years old. And another chance for Everett to retire the side in 6 innings of 2-run baseball turned in by the opening day starter of the Tribe. 2-0 Reds through 6. Follow the Reds with MLB.com. At Bat 11 for your iPhone, iPad, Android, or BlackBerry. Get spring training scores, stats, highlights, live audio, and more Text at bat to 31826 or visit Reds.com for details. The pitcher on for the Reds as we go to the 7th. Reds leading by a score of 2-0. Here's the left-hander Bill Bray.
Well, Bill Bray, one of the other left-handers in the bullpen that we have seen, kind of a situational left-hander. Came in 35 games last year, only 28 in the third inning. So that shows me that he's a guy that come in to get a left-hander out, sometimes only facing one batter in a ball game. But, you know, he's got a little bit of a herky-jerky motion, nice slider. He's been sidetracked by injuries a little bit during his career, but he came back strong last year after having Tommy John surgery previous to that. And Bill Bray should be right on top of his game and be one of the better left-handed specialists in the league.
He will work here in the 7th inning. Jack Hanahan leading things off for the Indians. The Reds have out-hit them 6-4 and lead 2-0. Couple of changes for the Reds. Juan Francisco is now at third base. You mentioned Devin Mesoraco is behind the plate. Yonder Alonso, who pinch hit, is now over at first base for the Reds. That's Francisco. There's Mesoraco. There's Alonso. Dave Sapelt is in center field, taking over for Chris Heisey. Well, he's had a heck of a year, heck of a spring at the plate, Dave Sapelt. Hanahan had a double his last time. He's 1 for 2. Apology to pass along for some of the technical glitch that you see there. Those are those little leprechauns I was talking about earlier.
Ah, the ones down around your feet.
You didn't think I knew what I was talking about. Check swing and a strikeout for out number 1.
So when you're a left-handed reliever, a specialist guy, you really are expected to do this to left-handed hitters, to be able to make them look bad, get them off balance, a slider down in the dirt. Never was a strike. Hanahan couldn't hold back, and Bray gets an out on a strikeout.
Some of those green hats don't really appear to fit very well, do they? I've been looking at some of them on the guy's head. Some of them don't seem to fit overly well.
Well,
there's one of them.
Are they fitted caps or they have a little strap?
No, they're the strap.
Oh, they're
adjustable.
Well, then that would be the player's problem.
Hard hit, but right at Hermida for the second out. Maybe they just don't fit their heads like Jim Day said they don't fit his head.
I don't think there's a cap made to fit that head.
For the Indians, batting for Valbuena, number 73.
Well, I've just been awarded one of those caps up here in the booth.
Won't fit over that headset.
And I'll see if it fits.
The Lord blessed me with extra brains. You need a place to put them.
So where did you hide them? That is the question, Jim.
They're right up here in this big noggin.
Do you think so?
I know so.
Luis Valbuena scheduled to be the hitter. Cord Phelps is batting for him, so Phelps in the 9 spot. With 2 men out here in the 7th. Did the hat fit, Chris?
It did fit. It was easy come, easy go.
Loaner.
Well, it was a loaner from Bob Castellini, the Reds CEO and president, came in here and let me try it on and said, I need that hat. Took it away, and he's gone, and so is the hat.
Well, you don't get to keep the hat. You didn't get the free meal tickets the other day in Vegas.
No, you're right about that. I've lost a lot of things. The hat.
Rossi didn't come through for you, did he?
No, he did not. But next time we get out there, he's promised us, and we're going to hold him to it.
Phelps tried to hold up, could not. And now Bill Bray is a strike away from hanging a 0 here in the top of the 7th. In your defense, it'd be hard to fit that green hat over the headset as well.
Pretty nice crowd here this afternoon at Goodyear Ballpark. It seemed like the crowds have been getting better as the spring training season has gotten deeper. We've got the Rosie Reds in town, right? Or is it the Reds Rooters in town?
Reds Rooters
are in town. And there'll be a big function, I'm sure, that you'll be participating in over at the Wigwam later on this afternoon. And spring break, of course, a lot of college kids have come down. I saw a number of longtime Reds fans here, and it's really great to see them.
And there's a good crowd here last night and another one here this afternoon. Meanwhile, Bray sends Phelps back to the dugout with a 1-2-3 7th inning. Stretch time in the desert. Reds up 2-0. On Sunday, April the 3rd, when they face the Milwaukee Brewers with the first 20,000 fans in attendance, they'll receive a 2011 Reds magnetic schedule and logo car magnet. All that courtesy of PNC. Get tickets now by calling 513-381-REDS or go to Reds.com. Magnetic schedule, car magnet giveaway. Big one coming up April the 3rd. Meanwhile, new pitcher on for Cleveland, their starter, their opening day starter as well, Fausto Carmona. He goes 6th. Fans enjoying themselves, wearing the green today. There's Eric the Red wearing a green hat. See the good shape he is in. He and Mike Leake share number 44. New pitcher on for the Indians is a right-hander, Joe Martinez. And a new catcher is Lou Marson.
Martinez, a 28-year-old right-hander out of Boston College. Originally drafted by the Giants in 2005. Last year he played for a couple of different teams, the Giants and the Pirates and their organizations. Did have some big league time in 2009 with the Giants and in 2010 with both the Giants and the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Changes aplenty for the Indians defensively. We'll tell you about those, but as Mesoraco bats, Jim Day has the man who will be trying to win his 4th consecutive division title down at AAA Louisville, Rick Sweet.
Yeah, he's a man that knows so much baseball. 3-time division winner down in Louisville, as you just said, Jim Kelch. And there's a plethora of talent in this organization. They're saying, boy, he's going to have an all-star team down there. No pressure at all.
No, never any pressure, but that's all right. We'll keep running our young athletes through there and get them to Cincinnati, and we'll all have championships.
Anyone that's been following the Reds has been looking at the outstanding ascension of Dave Chappelle through the system. Tell us about the story. Is it true that he came up to you in spring training last year? Tell us about this story.
Well, last year it was a game like this. We're here, right here in the dugout, and I'm standing down there, and he walked up and introduced himself. Dave Chappelle goes, "I'm going to play for you before the year's out." And I just kind of like, okay, I've never heard your name before. I don't know who you are. I went home that night and pulled out my press guide and looked him up, see who the heck he was. And I remembered that and followed him through the course of the year. Of course, he came up, played for me, was in the players force, did a great job. But, you know, that's the type of player he is, very cocky, very sure of himself. But he was very polite about it. I mean, it wasn't something where I said, "Who the heck are you?" I thought, I'm impressed. I'm going to go check this guy out.
How satisfying is it as a AAA manager? And obviously you want to win every game, but you know, your job is to get these guys ready for the major league level. And to see these young guys come through and the success that you're having as a team and they're having individually, how satisfying is it?
Well, that's what, you know, I sit here and watch these ball games, and a lot of times it'll be 7, 8, 9. There's been times where 9 guys out there on the field were guys that have come through Louisville and played for me. So, you know, that's what it's all about. It really is enjoyable to have guys come up and say hi, how's it going, what's going on, and remember that 5 years ago they played for me in Louisville, and now Hannigan's signed a 3-year contract. That makes me feel pretty good.
Who do you think, who's standing out in your eyes right now? You're watching every game, you're at the complex. Who's standing out to you?
Well, you know, there's been a lot of guys, I think, that have really stepped up. I would not say there's any one guy. I think the biggest thing I've noticed is what kind of shape everybody came in, and the competition that's gone on. These guys are working hard. They're in great shape, and, you know, that's what we need. That's what's going to keep us winning.
And right there, some more hitting. This is a lineup today that not many big names in there, but Reds are leading right now, so the talent is showing.
Oh, yeah, and it keeps coming. Mesoraco right here, you know, I expect big things out of him. He came up and got a little taste of it last year with me. You know, these guys are going to keep coming, and we've got more coming. It doesn't matter if we got the Cincinnati Reds or the Louisville Bats out there. We're going to compete with everybody.
As a former catcher, how about this plethora of catching talent?
Well, you know, when I first came over here, we were a little thin. Everybody was worried about it. But, you know, now with Yaz and of course, Mesoraco, you know, Denovi's done a good job. We've got the guys in the big leagues. Of course, we got our veteran Corky. It's nice to have all that talent down there. You can have the best pitching in baseball, but if you don't have a catcher behind the plate that can call and handle pitchers, it's going to be a detriment to you. So we've added to that pitching with our catching.
One last question. People always question, even the announcers today have talked about Corky Miller. Why is a guy like that hang around? Why is the Reds hold on to a guy like that? How invaluable is he?
Well, you know, all you have to do is talk to the pitching staff and know how valuable Corky is to us. When we picked him up 2 years ago, you know, it was because we needed some catching and we needed that veteran guy. And for us, he not only helps the pitchers, he helps the other catchers. You know, Corky will probably open the season with me. I'm going to have Mesoraco there, and Devin absolutely thrives on what Corky has to say. And, you know, he's like an assistant coach out there. Not only can he play still, but he's that extra coach you always want.
I misspoke. He's valuable, not invaluable. Rick Sweet, thanks for your time, and no pressure to win this year.
Oh, what the heck. That's what it's all about. That's what makes it so much fun.
That is. Terrific baseball guy right here, Rick Sweet. You could talk baseball all day with this guy, and he knows a lot more baseball than, well, he's forgot a lot more baseball than I'll ever know. Jim Kelch?
I'm waiting for everybody to start arguing that point, Jim.
You hear those crickets?
Those are the leprechauns again. Nice job with Rick Sweet down in the dugout. Jim Day, he'll manage that Louisville team again. Rick Sweet. Meanwhile, in this inning, we had the hit by Mesoraco, the double by Neftali Soto, and then the play at the plate in which Mesoraco was tagged out. So the Reds have them at the corners with one out, looking to add to a 2-0 lead. And at the plate now is Miguel Rojas, who's batting for Zach Kozar. Joe Martinez is the man on the mound for Cleveland. Fausto Carmona, 2 runs, 5 hits, 6 innings. Longest outing by an Indians starter so far this spring, and Joe Martinez is out on the hill. Martinez, one of the fellows battling for a bullpen spot with the Tribe 2011. Dave Sapelt, who's been the talk of the spring in terms of hitting, waiting on deck. We'll get a tag on that fly ball. Throw will come into second, so a sacrifice fly for Rojas. Gets a run home. Scoring is Soto, and the Reds now have a 3-0 advantage here in the 7th.
Nice job by Miguel Rojas. There he is, number 81. A young man that was signed at age 17 years old out of Venezuela. He's played down the Venezuelan Summer League. He's playing the Dominican Summer League. He's been at Billings, Dayton. This will be his 6th year in the Reds organization. Nice to him to get a little airtime up here at the big leagues and drive a run in.
Here's Dave Sapelt. He's been the talk of the spring, as we mentioned, offensively, hitting .520, leads the team in hits with 13 in 25 at bats, tied for the team lead in homers with 2, and he's driven in 6. Dusty Baker is quick to point out about Sapelt. Yes, he can hit, but his other aspects of his game that still need work. And there's those numbers again that we're talking about. Very impressive. 24 years old. Lynchburg, Carolina, and Louisville last year. You heard Rick Sweet talking about him. He won the Southern League batting championship with a .361 average, despite not having quite enough official at-bats when he was there. But one of those things where they added in at-bats at the end of the year, and he still had the best batting average.
It's funny, he played at 3 different levels last year for the Reds. A-ball, AA, and AAA. And his worst batting average was an A-ball.
Right.
In fact, he got better as he went up the ladder, finally hitting at .324 with Louisville, although he had an outstanding time in AA in Carolina where he hit over .360.
And another one. There's hit number 14, and it could add another run. Hustling toward third is Francisco. He'll be waved home. He'll make it a 4-0 game, and there's the second triple of the day for the Reds. The first one came from Willis. This one comes from Dave Sapelt. 4-0 Cincinnati, and folks from Ohio are loving that.
Tell you what, this is how you put yourself on the radar. If you're a young player that nobody really knows much about, you go off like he had a year last year, playing at 3 different levels, winning the batting title at AA, and then following it up by coming into Major League camp and just tearing the cover off the ball. I mean, that's a great bit of hitting right there, hitting it with some authority down the right field line, little oppage action, and he slides into third base, plenty of speed to get there.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that not many people had heard of Dave Sapelt in terms of the Reds going into camp last year. Now here he is, the talk of the camp.
Well, he may not be wearing that number 77 next season at this time. You know, one of the things that makes Sapelt so dangerous as a hitter is he hits it all over the place. He stays behind that ball very nicely. Talk about hitting it where it's pitched. Pitch on the outer part of the plate, up, goes with it, picks up an extra base knock.
Fred Lewis had to double his first at bat. Finds himself in the hole now. Lewis under 200 at the start of the day at 160. Here's again another look at.
Watch his hand level. I mean, it's so level right there. It comes right through. You know, a lot of guys, they fall into a problem where they drop their hands and then have to uppercut. There's a good case of it right there with Fred Lewis. Dropped his hands low and really never could stay on top of the baseball. Sapelt took it the other way. Good little bit of hitting right there by the youngster.
Reds at a pair now through 7, up 4-0. tuned to Fox Sports Ohio and the Emmy Award-winning Reds Live. Jim Day, Jeff Picard return again this year. They'll bring you interviews, exclusive access to the players, the coaches, plus in-depth features from Brian Giesenschlag and our own Chris Welsh. The CBTS Tech Talk returns to break down the finer points of the game. Then, after the game, more comprehensive highlights and interviews, including in the clubhouse with the Reds manager, Dusty Baker. So turn to Fox Sports Ohio for Reds Live and follow the team that follows the team after the game all season long. New man on the mound for the Reds as the Reds own a 4-0 lead in this game. Their fifth pitcher of the day is Jordan Smith.
Well, they called him up from Double-A last year. They did Jordan Smith at age 24, and he availed himself pretty well in his first year in the major leagues. Overall, he was 3-2 last year, 37 ball games, good earned run average, hard sinking fastball. And, you know, the odd thing is you come into camp and there's so many good arms in this camp for the Reds. You don't really hear a lot of people talking about Jordan Smith, but this kid's got a lot of talent.
I was just thinking, Chris, the same thing, right as you said that. You really haven't heard him talked about at all this spring.
Well, you've got the reemergence of Jared Burton, who's trying to nail down a spot in the bullpen. Of course, you have Logan Ondrusek. You have Jose Arredondo, who's a lot of people have talked about, the former Anaheim Angel, the Los Angeles Angel of Anaheim that came in throwing very hard. He pitched last night, Arredondo did, but he's recovering from Tommy John surgery. Still unsure yet whether he's going to be healthy enough to start the year with the Reds. And then meanwhile, you have Jordan Smith, who just kind of toils away, just doing what he always does, which is throwing power sinkers down in the zone, really not getting a lot of notice. At least a notice certainly by scouts and by coaches and observers, but not by the media, who are writing a lot about Jordan.
He's trying to keep the shutout going here in the eighth. 4-0 Reds. More than doubled up the hit total of the Indians at 9-4. And he gives up a first batter base hit to start the eighth to Michael Brantley, who's on for the first time this afternoon.
The third baseman, number 8, Everett.
Well, Brantley really kind of pulling off this ball a little bit, just gets a ground ball. Jordan Smith, a ground ball pitcher. That one finds a hole. Nice young player, Michael Brantley.
Batter now is Adam Everett, and he, like Brantley, has not been on today yet. He's 0 for 3. Bill Bray went an inning, allowed no runs, no hits, and 2 strikeouts. Jordan Smith follows him up. So the Reds have gone with Leake, Willis, Massett, Bray, and now Smith. And those top 4 all figured to be on the opening day roster. Jordan Smith is questionable. He could be part of that staff that we talked about with Rick Sweet. Almost a pick there by Rojas at shortstop. Ball skips by him and into center. Boy, that was almost a Paul Janisch type pick.
Well, it would have been a dandy of a play if he'd been able to nail that one down. An easy double play, hit very sharply. And not able to get in front of that ball, tried to olay it, and the ball just went underneath his glove. He may learn eventually it'd be good to get his body in front of that ball and maybe knock it down and get yourself one at least.
Chad Huffman will be the batter. He took over for Sin-Soo Choo. Jordan Smith has his work cut out for him here with the first 2 having reached. Huffman 10 out of 22 this spring with the Tribe.
That'll get yourself noticed.
These 2 teams will meet one more time this spring. This is their 3rd meeting. First 2 games of spring training were here. Reds won 7-6, then lost 12-0. Now they're meeting today, and then they'll meet on the final day of spring training, the 29th of March. And then it's to Cincinnati for the workout on the 30th at Great American Ballpark, and an opening day 2 weeks from today, Thursday, March the 31st. Huffman won't add to his hit total here That ball is handled by Alonso over at first base. We have more from Jim Day, who now is up here amongst us in the press box with the Hall of Famer Hal McCoy.
Yes, we are with the Hall of Famer Hal McCoy, who proudly at FoxSportsOhio.com. And I don't want to date you, but
I don't want to date you either.
I know that didn't sound right. I'm talking about age here, but how many spring trainings for you?
This is my 39th, which is older than you are.
No. Thank you for the compliment, but that is not older than me. And 4 venues, right?
4 venues. Started out in Tampa at old Al Lopez Field, then moved to Plant City, then to Sarasota, and now here.
Oh, there's a twin killing by the Reds, so we will have to come back with Hal McCoy. We are back after this. 4-0 Reds on Fox Sports Ohio. Nothing Reds lead here on Fox Sports Ohio, and with Hall of Famer Hal McCoy, and been here a couple weeks. What's standing out to you right now? Any players that are standing out to you, or is it just a plethora of talent?
Yeah, that's the amazing thing is the battle for so many positions and so much talent to fill it out. I can't recall a spring training that I've been here where the Reds had so much talent and the decisions were so tough. That's a good thing.
Usually, in past years, I mean, I've been with Fox Sports Ohio since 2000, and you're talking about, okay, who's going to fill those 3, 4, and 5 roles in the starting rotation? We have no idea who's going to be in the bullpen. Now, it's come down to which one guy might make the rotation.
Yeah, for years when I came down here, it was a matter of 1 or 2 guys that come and they'd be solidified in the rotation, and then they'd have about 37 other guys vying for the other 3 or 4 spots. Now there's 7 or 8 legitimate candidates, and it makes it a tough choice. And as you said, there's probably only 1 spot in the bullpen and 1 spot in the rotation. So it's a difficult decision they're going to have to make.
Central Division seems to have gotten tougher. Milwaukee certainly bettered themselves. We know the Cardinals are always going to be good, even if they do lose Wainwright. What do you think? What do you think is going to happen in the Central?
Yeah, I think Milwaukee's going to be the #1 contender for the Reds. The Reds are going to be better with the experience of winning the division and playing in the playoffs. But Milwaukee added 2 really good starting pitchers to go with that hitting, and I think it'll be between Milwaukee and the Reds.
Real quick, let's tell everyone what you're doing again. FoxSportsOhio.com. I know you're having fun with it.
Same as last year. I'll be chatting at every home game with the fans who dial into Fox Sports Ohio, and I'll be writing a story after every game for Fox Sports Ohio.
All right, Chris Welsh has a question for you.
I don't have a question for Hal McCoy. I've got a congratulatory note for you, Jim Day, over the winter that people may not know this, but you were married this winter, so you come to camp as a married man, and I want to congratulate you and your wife Stephanie on that. Hope you guys are doing great, and you're still living in newlywed bliss.
Yes, we are. Actually, it wasn't a question. He's congratulating me on marriage, as there's a shot down the left field line that's going to be extra bases. And Hal McCoy, I know you've been married a long time, so wish me some luck that I can get there.
Yes, yeah, I hope you do get there. It's a lot of fun if you do.
And I appreciate it, Chris Welsh, and Stephanie, my bride. Love her, and my new man.
You know, it looks like Stephanie's got you on a new diet already. You come to camp and trim and fit. I mean, you look trimmed down and low body fat. You look like Johnny Gomes up there.
Well, I don't know about that. I need a goatee to look like Johnny Gomes, but a little bit. I'm working on it. We're getting there.
All right, looking good.
Chris Welsh, thanks. I appreciate the sentiments.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Hal. Through it all, he does not want to date Hal McCoy, so that is good news.
He made that certain right out of the get-go, didn't he?
He did, didn't he? Lead off double by Felix Perez, to get things going for the Reds here in the bottom of the 8th. Under Alonso up there now. He wrapped out to the right side on the ground ball his first time. Reds now amassed double figures in hits with 10. New pitcher on. This is Frank Herman. Figures to be a part of the opening day pitching staff for Manny Actors Ball Club in relief of Joe Martinez, who went one inning, allowed 2 runs and 3 hits. Had a pretty good spring, a 1.69 earned run average in 5 appearances. 26-year-old out of Rutherford, New Jersey, faces the former Reds #1 pick, Yonder Alonso. 1 in the 4th, 1 in the 5th, 2 in the 7th, 4-0 Reds, 8th inning.
Boy, he takes a cut, doesn't he? Yonder Alonso does not get cheated at the plate. Young man just a couple of years away from playing college baseball, and he's really a good presence in the batter's box. Gets his foot down in time. Little bit of a late action on that ball. I mean, he was just a little bit late to getting around on it, but I'll tell you what, this guy's ready to crank anything middle in. You know, there was somewhat of an internal debate about Yonder Alonso, given the fact that Joey Votto, league MVP, going to be around for the next few years, signed a 3-year deal. What do you do with Alonso? I mean, he's a former #1 draft pick. Is it wise to put him down there at first base and just play him down there and then hope something happens along the way, that maybe you get him into a trade, or maybe you he's there as a backup in the event that Joey Votto is injured or something like that? Or do you put him in a different position? They tried that last year in Louisville. They put him in left field in Louisville a little bit last year, Yonder Alonso. I'm not sure if the experiment didn't work out, or whether they didn't like him there, or they just thought that he would be better served, or the organization would be better served to put him in his natural position at first base. Anyway, that's where it will be as he starts the season.
He's going to move the runner up with this ground ball to the right side. Over to third base goes Perez as Alonso goes out 4-3. Now, we did see Yonder play a little left field last night. We've seen him play left field a couple of times in games this spring, but as you said, by and large, it's been at first. Brody Green will be the batter in the 9th inning. Aroldis Chapman is going to come in and pitch for the Reds, so we'll have seen, we talked about earlier, Leake, Willis, Massett, Bray, all who figure to be part of the opening day roster for the Reds, and the fellow who will be the left-handed setup complement to Nick Massett. Aroldis Chapman will pitch the 9th inning. That bat goes flying out of the hands of Green. Aroldis Chapman really this spring, Chris, has not had anywhere near the attention that he had on him a year ago. It's funny how fickle things can be. One year you can't get enough interviews, and the next year you get to settle in and just go about your business.
Well, yeah, I think the expectations are different for Aroldis Chapman this year. Last year, he was more of a circus sideshow. You know, how hard does this guy really throw? And then now that he's established himself as the hardest thrower in all of baseball, the Reds are looking for him to get hitters out. Throw the ball over the plate.
If he has had a problem this spring, it's been a little bit of wildness, hasn't it?
Well, you know, sometimes that can be helpful. I mean, if you throw 100 miles an hour a little bit wild, guys in the batter's box are never going to feel too comfortable. But you have to be able to throw strikes, and for Chapman, it's throw strikes with more than just the fastball, because if you throw major league hitters, you know, even at 100 miles an hour, fastballs down the middle enough, eventually they will time that ball, and they'll be able to knock it all over the yard. So I think, you know, for a young guy like Chapman, who has not been pitching all that many years, it will continue to be a work in progress. I mean, he's going to have to continue to work with Brian Price whenever available, Porky Lopez down in the bullpen certainly is going to have to keep an eye on him to make sure that whatever Price works on before the game, that he's able to take that into his warm-ups during his warm-up to come into a ball game. But I can tell you this, from a fan's standpoint, putting him in the bullpen and knowing that he's warming up in the 7th inning, I mean, you can feel the energy and the murmur in the crowd at Great American Ballpark. Chapman's coming in, and you just never know how he's going to light the radar gun up. And it's going to be something this year to have him on this ball club from the get-go, and to see how many times he can light up that radar gun and light up the eyes of people who come to the ballpark to watch him pitch.
How about that piece of hitting there by Brody Green, who went down and sliced that ball against the drawn-in infield into right center for an RBI single.
Well, Brody had everybody in the ballpark scattering. I mean, he threw his bat down the left field line. He hit a ball foul right over the dugout down the right field line, and then he takes this little blooper into right center field and drives a run in. Nice going for Brody Green.
11th hit for the Reds in this game. They now lead it 5-0. Brody Green with his first at bat of the spring, and it'll be a memorable one for him.
Well, you know, it's just his second year of pro ball. He was in his first year last year when he played in Carolina as a 22-year-old. But what set that up was really the productive at bat by Yonder Alonso. Man on second base, nobody out. He gets a ground ball to the right side to move the runner over to third. So Brody Green's able to drive a run in.
So Devin Mesoraco, who had a base hit his first time up this afternoon, bats again. And there goes Green scampering to second when that ball pops away. Wild pitch charge to Herman, and here's Mesoraco with an RBI chance. Mesoraco, who had that memorable AAA debut last year in which he hit a walk-off grand slam, followed that up in his second ever AAA game with another grand slam. He and Corky Miller figure to share the catching duties at AAA Louisville for Rick Sweet and company this year.
Yeah, the Reds took a lot of heat when they drafted Devin Mesoraco, #1, a high school catcher. A lot of people around baseball said, boy, that's not a very wise thing to do, because the odds of him getting the major leagues is very, very minimal based on statistics of, you know, high school catchers drafted. It takes a long time for those guys to develop, and just about the time that they're ready to make the major leagues, you've already used up all your options, or he becomes a minor league free agent and you don't have him anymore. But Mesoraco grew into a man last year, and he is certainly the catcher in waiting all of a sudden for a ball club and an organization that is catching rich.
Runner will move up on Mesoraco's ground out, and you're right, Chris, about Mesoraco. You look at what he did in those years: 219 his first year, 261 and 228 after 3 years. They're looking at that saying, well, maybe we did make a mistake.
And not only that, Jim, but I mean, there were reports coming out of the minor leagues, and not necessarily Reds coaches, and the Reds reports, but scouts that have seen him play. And you know, we see these scouts all the time, and they would call me and tell me, boy, this Mesoraco kid, they're knocking the bat out of his hand. Is he ever going to be able to hit? And he did last year, and I think it's a great thing for him because he's worked very hard, and well, he's put himself in a position to be one level away from the major leagues.
Chase Weems grounds out. 9th inning upon us with Aroldis Chapman entering the game.
Reds here on Fox Sports Ohio. Reds over Indians spring training action. Jim Day with you, hobnobbing with the Hall of Famers. And we're with Marty Brennaman, who is sitting in the crowd, not doing much work right now.
Not doing anything at all but watching baseball, Jimmy. That's all I'm doing, pal.
Life is good then. I see you got the midseason tan going.
Well, you know, that's one of those things I work on in spring training, and I've worked on it pretty good. So I'm happy with that.
Got to be happy. Hey, let's face it. When you're broadcasting at games, it's more fun to call a winning team than it is a losing team. Got to be happy with what you're seeing.
Yeah, this is a pretty good ball club. If it stays healthy, and you always have to add that qualifier. I mean, when you see what's happened to the Cardinals with Wainwright and Philadelphia with Utley, you stay healthy. This is still the best club in the division. You know, everybody tried to improve in the offseason to unseat this team, and if this team keeps its health and people perform the way it should perform, it's clearly the best team in the division. The thing that people overlook when they try to assess the division is the fact that among all the teams in the division, this team is so far superior defensively to Milwaukee, St. Louis, Chicago, Pittsburgh, Houston. It's not even funny, and that makes a big, big difference over the course of the season.
Aroldis Chapman going to the hill here. If you had the choice, keep him in the bullpen long term, or would you start him?
I would start right now. I keep him in the bullpen, but you know what? I'm a little bit concerned about his command. I want to see how he pitches in terms of being able to throw strikes consistently once the season gets underway, because I certainly have not seen that here, and that would bother me a little bit because he's a guy that's going to be coming in late in ball games.
I appreciate your time, and I won't interrupt your non-working.
Jimmy, you never interrupt me. The one thing I would venture to say is when we go to Arizona and San Diego for the first road trip, bring your golf clubs.
That is a given. Let's go.
Hey, Jim Day, ask
sir.
the Hall of Famer, because he, like you, must have, I guess, St. Patrick's Day snuck up on you guys and didn't realize that this is the day you should wear a little bit of green somewhere.
Chris Welsh is saying that I kind of forgot about St. Patrick's Day. Did it sneak up on you? You got no green on.
I'm not Irish.
You can be today.
You can be today, Chris.
I quit drinking, and I'm not an Irishman, so it doesn't make any difference to me. Green doesn't work for me.
He's out of the club then.
Well, that's a typical Marty Brennaman answer. There you go.
Thank you, Jim Day.
All right.
Aroldis Chapman takes over here in the 9th inning. Take a look at what he did 1 year ago after being called up from AAA Louisville, all that out of the bullpen.
Well, he had good command last year. Look at the 19 strikeouts and only 5 bases on balls. But Marty Brennaman makes a nice point. You know, he has not shown a lot of command this spring so far. Of course, maybe he just needs some innings under his belt. But I think even the fact that he has not shown great command might even be more of an argument why you put him in the bullpen rather opposed to trying to make him a starter, because if he's going to go out there and throw as many pitches as he does with no command, I mean, you're going to wear your bullpen out, backing him up, getting him out of there after a 100 pitch count. So I think that he's due to be in the bullpen, and he'll probably will stay in there for quite a while.
7 innings, 6 walks this spring. Nice on the play by Green at second base, and he will throw out Hafner for out number 1. Well, the thing is, he is taking the place by and large of Arthur Rhodes, who in particular in the first half was all about command, wasn't he?
Well, you know, Dusty Baker's going to have to manage that bullpen a little bit different, because Arthur Rhodes was so solid and so predictable down there that you knew exactly what you were going to get from Rhodes when you called on him. You may not have that now with the guys that are projected to be down there. Bill Bray, Chapman, and Dontrelle Willis, all of those pitchers in their recent history have had some command issues. So you may not get the strikes thrown that you did with Arthur Rhodes.
Shelley Duncan, the batter now, replaced Austin Kearns, son of Dave Duncan, the pitching coach of the Cardinals, and he's been around. He came up to the Yankees organization. He faces Aroldis Chapman. Here Chapman gets ahead, 2 strikes.
One of the things that we're missing here at Goodyear Ballpark is that radar gun. You know, they don't have it at the ballpark. They have a spot on the screen for the pitch speed, but I mean on the scoreboard for this pitch speed, but evidently the radar gun's either not operable or they forgot to turn it on this spring. And I guess for all those pitchers who would like to light it up, the fans would like to see what Aroldis is throwing.
Came off speed there on that ball that's tipped foul. Interesting in terms of pitch selection for him, Chris, because out of the bullpen, he's probably limited to what he wants to use, isn't he?
Yeah, and I think there have been times when they've asked Aroldis Chapman to throw nothing but fastballs, because he is a guy that likes to use all of his pitches. He's got a nice changeup, threw a good one right there. He's got a very good slider. But I think even as a reliever, you're going to have at least 2 pitches. So he's got to decide whether, his second pitch is going to be a slider or his changeup. But obviously that number 1 pitch is that heater. Ball looks small, doesn't it?
I was more admiring that necklace that he has on as we showed that front shot of him. That you talk about some bling now.
That's some serious bling. I tell you, we were shooting a tech talk with Aroldis earlier this spring, and that necklace was rubbing up against the microphone that we had pinned to his shirt. And we had to take that baby off. He let me hold it for a minute. I felt real rich for just a short while.
Then you had a strained forearm, right, from holding it. Duncan lines a single into right, so it will not be a 1-2-3 frame for the hard-throwing Cuban. Jack Hanahan has played the entire game for the Tribe. He's up there now. He got ahead of Duncan 0-2 and lost him. Now he falls behind Hanahan 2-0. In the limited time that he was with the Reds last year, lefties hit just 154 against Chapman versus 212, which is a low number as well, against right-handers.
The big thing from a mechanical standpoint for Aroldis Chapman is to stay tall on the mound. He has a tendency to really collapse his back leg as he tries to coil and throw to the plate. The more he collapses, if he does it too much, that's when he gets really wild. And that last time, not too bad. I mean, obviously, you get a lot of strength from your legs when you're a pitcher. You use your lower body really as much as you use your arms. But if he starts to collapse too much, if he starts breaking down this leg back here, going down too much, that's when you start really losing this. You lose your head level and you lose your control completely that way.
Well, he walks Hanahan, so after getting Hafner on the ground out, he gives up the hit to Duncan, walks Hanahan, 2 on with 1 out. He has now thrown 16 pitches, 8 balls, 8 strikes. Lou Marson, who took over for Luke Carlin, bats for the first time. Double play would end it. Reds lead 5-0 here in the 9th. Now that one had some pop to it, didn't it?
Well, I think everyone who throws up there has a little bit of pop to it, but even when you throw it as hard as Chapman, you've got to stay out of the middle of the zone, at least to really solid major league hitters.
Again, just off the glove of Rojas, and that will break the shutout here this afternoon. As sliding across for the Indians is Shelley Duncan. Cleveland on the board. It's now 5-1. And there's another one that almost turned into a double play.
Well, yeah, but they've hit the ball hard off Chapman. That ball is solidly hit a line drive off the bat of Marson, and then off the glove of the shortstop. Probably a play that could have been made or should have been made by the shortstop Rojas. But nonetheless, I mean, if you start counting the hard hit balls in this inning, he's walked one. He gave up an out to Travis Hafner. That ball was struck very well. Both base hits have been hit hard. So now we're going to give Brian Price and Paul Lassard, the trainer, come to the mound. Is something going on with Aroldis? That's the question.
Now they all gather around, including the entire infield and the home plate umpire, Angel Campos, to check on the well-being of Aroldis Chapman. I I would guess that he would throw a pitch or so here, wouldn't you?
Well, I'm not really sure what the issue was. You know, he strained himself last year about this time in spring training. Juan Francisco came in from third base to talk to him, still talking to him. Of course, Aroldis doesn't speak much English, so Paul Lessard and Brian Price need somebody to help him out when he has to talk about something other than basic pitching stuff.
Yeah, you had that back issue last year, which eventually led to his starting in the minor leagues, not at the major league level. He's facing Cord Phelps now with 2 on, 1 out, and a run in, and a 5-1 Reds lead here in the 9th. Is it safe to say, Chris, that the changeup is still a work in progress for him?
I think his sliders are a work in progress, and I think his overall pitching delivery is a work in progress. One thing about being a reliever is that you don't get the repetitions with your delivery that you get when you're a starter. I mean, in a perfect world, you take Aroldis Chapman and you put him back down in the minor leagues and you start him for a while and you continue to work that delivery until it becomes much smoother and more natural to him. Right now, when you're a 100% effort pitcher like Chapman, you're not always sure where that ball's going.
Was able to get Phelps chasing on that one for the 2nd out of the inning.
This is the slider. Boy, look at the break on that ball. Phelps can't hold back, and he finally gets an out.
So we'll go back to the top of the Indians order, and Michael Brantley. Good matchup here for Chapman. Fellow who's going to be in the big leagues with the Indians. Opening day lineup, Michael Brantley against Chapman, lefty here. Starts him with a fastball in on his fists.
Well, if you're any left-handed pitcher facing Aroldis Chapman, the first thing you think about is I'm going after the first fastball that I see. Because if he throws his slider the way he can, there's not a left-hander in the league that's going to hit him. So you got to jump on that piece of cheese as soon as you see it. Michael Brantley choking up a little bit. It's also a wise idea.
He's approaching 25 pitches now, and this is, let me correct myself, Carrera, not Brantley, batting.
That one smelled fast.
Ezekiel Carrera is the man at the plate for the Tribe.
Well, a 1-2 count, you've got him set up after a fastball fouled off. You got the hitter behind the fastball. Here's a chance to throw that slider and get a strikeout for the last out of the game.
He had an out on a ground ball. He's had the out on the strikeout of Phelps. And looks for the final out of the inning and the game right here.
He shook off Mesoraco to go back to the fastball now to run the count 2-2. Of course, the old adage in pitching here on a 2-2 count, do you throw 2-2, you got to be able to throw that same pitch 3-2.
And he got it.
Blue by you.
Carrera strikes out, and the Reds win it over the Cleveland Indians by the score of 5-1. Chapman ends up with 2 strikeouts in the inning. Maybe not exactly what they wanted, but Dusty Baker happy with his 11th spring training victory here in the Cactus League this year. Reds a win, 5-1 over the Indians. And we'll come back with more from Goodyear Ballpark here in Goodyear, Arizona, right after this.